Hi everyone, please subscribe to the channel, and if you do, you could also click on the little bell icon, in which case you'll be notified whenever I post a video. Thank you. So we have a new Pope, and I thought I would make some comments, let's call them early comments, because to date we know his birthday in Chicago, Illinois. We don't know the birth time, and it's possible that it will emerge at some point in the hopefully near future. So what we do know is that he is a Virgo sun and also has Venus and Mars in Virgo, and there is a possibility that his moon may also be in Virgo if he is born somewhere from early to mid-morning. There's a bit of uncertainty around that depending on whether you measure Central Standard Time or Central Daylight Time. I'll work that out later, but the main point is that in quite a few hours of the day, from early to mid-morning all the way to midnight of that day, he would be Virgo rising. Otherwise, Virgo moon. Otherwise, he would have a Leo moon. And he also has Mercury in Libra, which is important because he's a Virgo. Mercury is the ruler of Virgo. And he has Pluto and Jupiter in Leo, especially the Leo, because the Pluto is more generational, but the Jupiter would give him a strong focus or a strong energy power from that sign. And you notice that his chart clusters all the planets in one part of the zodiac between that Uranus position and then the Saturn on the other end. It's a really narrow band, except for the fact that you create a kind of an umbrella with Eris, the planetoid that was discovered in 2005 that led to the demotion of Pluto. It's a very important planet, and that planet is thereby focalized in his chart. And this would tell you on that alone that he is very likely to continue the disrupting influence that Pope Francis brought into the religious world in these last 12 plus years. Indeed, Pope Francis himself had a very elevated Eris, and he was a disruptor as a result of that. Eris is the warrioress, goddess of discord, which on the low end of manifestation of that planet can be discordant, disruption, and chaos if properly used. And there's always the magic with all these planets. It depends how you use them, and if you use them well, then you are disrupting structures in order to improve them. So it's a great change agent. It's also very energetic, and in short, it's a very powerful influence. And so now we're also learning that Pope Francis had appointed 80% of the cardinals that voted for Pope Leo. So that's another tell that there's a linkage there. And indeed, Pope Francis apparently was closely aligned with Pope Leo. So it seems like the conclave went in that direction, which is probably good news. Virgo is by nature a purifying, humble sign. Again, when it's working well, I would say overall, though, it's good. I mean, a person, when you look at his demeanor, you get the sense that he's doing a really good version of Virgo. And then you look at potential patterns that could emerge, such as, for the time being, I looked at, well, I didn't even have to because I'm so familiar with the chart of the orange cockwomble that I immediately saw the problem, so to speak, in that Pope Leo has those Virgo planets, Sun, Venus, Mars, are square the orange man's moon and sun in the second sign, which irrespective of meanings for signs and houses, it's a pressure point, and it's unlikely to show up as a happy, friendly relation. If anything, it would be set up for issuing criticism and rebuke, which is what planets in square can definitely engage in. And now the counterpoint would be that the Mercury in Libra is conjoining the president's Jupiter, which on first glance is quite good. However, then the Neptune in Libra, which is further down in degrees, that makes a direct square to Trump's 12th house, Venus, Saturn. That's not nearly as good. That's another angle for challenging the energy for sure. And even the Mercury conjoining someone's Jupiter, and that can help you. It could perhaps help you to be, let's say, intelligently diplomatic toward that person, possibly. But then you have to add that the Pluto-Jupiter action, in particular, the Pluto is a strongly disruptive and it's kind of a destruction agent. It tries to change something in a big way. And if someone's Pluto aspects your chart, again, depending on the nature of the relationship we're talking about, it can be a pretty major threat. And there you've got Pope Leo's Pluto, right on the president's Mars ascendant situation. I would think that's a potentially pretty big problem building. And you can see that the small amount of information we have so far isn't signaling anything positive, at least from past comments toward Trump's behavior in the first term. And other than that, we'll just have to see how it develops. Now, we also know that because of his Virgo cluster of planets, and then the ones that follow in Libra, Saturn right now is on the other end of that, and this can happen to a person, the assignation of an important post. Saturn is either conjoined, square, or opposed, signifying the responsibility, the work, all of that. It's a Saturnian pattern, so that fits. Jupiter, curiously, is in a Gemini in a square, and this is an example of, as I see it, of Jupiter operating well, because Jupiter in a square, if in the chart of a person where overconfidence is being expressed, it can lead to problematic outcomes. In this case, he's chosen, he's also his Jupiter in his chart appears to be quite benign. Of course, all of this subject to a birth time that could potentially change things, possibly. But with what I know so far, that seems like a pretty benign energy. Also, the Jupiter is trining the Libra planets, and so this is when it happened. But now the Saturn opposing toward Virgo, and then it'll oppose the Libra planets when it goes into Aries, which it'll be in Aries until 2028, and after that in Taurus it'll oppose itself. So this is signaling that the initial years of his papacy, as one would imagine would be the case anyway, would be full of responsibility and adjustments and even potential controversies that may arise, because Saturn opposing, as well as representing the responsibility of what you're tasked with for sure, is also a planet that can at times bring you into difficult challenges. So that's what we know so far. Once, if we can find out the birth time or other information about this Pope, I'll be sure to make a video about it.